Couple of things that you might want to consider getting on your own. Something like this is pretty expensive. It's already like $300. And this particular model is actually really expensive now because it's out of manufacture and people really like it. Please don't take the stuff that I loan out to you and put it on eBay. That would be very bad. I do have the serial numbers for them. There are cheaper DJ controllers that are usually smaller. Part of the reason why they're cheap is because they use less materials. And I'm not sure if that's the easiest way to learn. The controllers that are smaller and cheaper than something like this, all the controls are way more cramped. And it's a lot easier for you to accidentally hit something that you didn't mean to hit. We were just talking about the Q button. When you learn what the Q button does and all the different things that it can do, depending on the mode that you're in, there's a lot more of that on smaller, cheaper controllers. They use the same buttons to do a lot more different things, which makes them actually incredibly powerful for someone who knows how to DJ and extremely confusing for somebody who's learning for the first time. I will not say that you can't use them. I mean, obviously, if you can do a mix on a smaller budget controller, I think you're doing more work. You're actually doing something much more difficult, possibly more difficult than somebody who's using turntables. Because our turntables are really simple devices. They're finicky, but they're not conceptually difficult to operate. It's a piece of plastic on a spinning platter that vibrates. It's very, very simple. One of the reasons why DJs like Pro Gear is because a lot of Pro Gear, each button does one thing. There's no multiple modes. So there's one button that does one thing, and every time you hit the button, it's going to do exactly the same thing. There's no possibility of error. And then as you get into more budget-friendly gear, you get more and more buttons that do multiple things. Sometimes there's a shift button, so the same key does multiple things, like a keyboard. But something that you really might want to consider getting is a pair of headphones. This is the Pioneer DJ Q1s. I know they're probably like $60. Maybe someone can look on Amazon or something. They come with a detachable cord. This particular model is a Bluetooth model, so it's a little bit more expensive because it has Bluetooth circuitry in them. Most DJ headphones, these guys over here, they're purely analog. There's no electronics in them. There is a pair of speakers and a cord. This one has a detachable cable for no other reason than you can customize the color of it, which can be really, really handy if there's a whole bunch of other DJs who have exactly the same model headphone as you, right? If you do decide to buy your own headphones, make sure you get a good return policy on them, because you might try them on and realize they're super uncomfortable on your head, and you actually want to have a good, Amazon's return policy is pretty good. Just drop it off at UPS, I think. The things that you want this thing to clamp on your head tight enough that when it's on your head, you hear very little outside sound. Now, of course, if you're in a room with a lot of bass, you're still going to feel that bass. Your body is vibrating. Headphones are not going to stop that from happening. But you should have significant difficulty hearing what someone's trying to tell you when you've got these headphones on, even if they're shouting at you. Tip, if you're the kind of person who likes to shout at the DJ at parties while they have headphones on, one, they can't hear you anyway, and two, why are you shouting at the DJ? There's nicer ways to be able to ask for requests. Let's see. Other things that DJ headphones tend to do is that they tend to fold flat. This doesn't get super small. This is about as small as it gets, but there are some DJ headphones that get even smaller than this. But they are tough, so that however you've got them folded, like this is actually very, very flat, if you see it from this angle. If your bag can carry a laptop, your bag can carry one of these pretty easily. But they're very, very tough. And the idea is that you can shove them into a bag with a pile of cables and then sort of yank it out, and they shouldn't break. That's the reason why DJ headphones are kind of built the way that they are. So sound isolation, and they should be able to do this without breaking, and the ability to fold up pretty small, or at least pretty slim. I've personally found useful, but are not a must-have, coiled cables. very often where, I'm plugged into my controller, say I'm mixing like this. I got my headphones on, I'm bringing it down. The promoter or something wants to talk to me, and I need to walk over and talk to them, right? And this actually is good because I'm not yanking all of my equipment off the table. I can spin around, I can talk to people. So not a must-have, but certainly not a bad thing to have. Both this and the headphones that I normally use have that. Once you get to this is about $100. One of the things that you get at that price range, though, is replaceable parts. So if this speaker blows out, I can get a replacement speaker. If this speaker blows out, I can get a replacement speaker. If this cord breaks, I can get a replacement cord. This one, of course, is already a replaceable cord, so this one has some replaceable parts as well. Past that point, you're no longer buying a starter headphone. You're getting it for things like sound quality. It's you actually like how the headphones sound. It's no longer just a tool. It's actually something that you're buying for personal pleasure. I know there are some headphones where you can customize them with your DJ logo and things like that. And it's you don't need that to learn. But I'm not going to say that there's no value to that. Again, if everybody else is using the same headphones, it's nice to have one that has your logo on it so you can figure out which one to bring home. I would really not recommend sharing headphones. First of all, it's easy to break somebody else's headphone. And secondly, it's just kind of unhygienic if you're in a sweaty situation, playing for a dance party or something. You use your headphones. It's going to get gross, but it's your grossness, and you don't have to share that grossness with anyone else. That's not to say that I've never loaned someone my pair of headphones. Obviously, if it's in a pinch, you're with another DJ, someone forgets to bring their headphones, it's up to you to decide whether you're going to loan it to them. Finally, some of you might prefer to go with the earbud solution. Earbuds, if you're going to go that way, you got to get the ones that actually go in your ears and make a good seal. Again, for sound isolation purposes. There are very, very few earbuds that have a coiled cable. Typically, they're actually pretty short in terms of length, which is a possible hazard. You might end up more likely yanking it out of the equipment. But in terms of sound isolation, if you get one that actually has a really good fit, they can be really effective. You will end up mixing differently from the people who are practicing mostly on headphones, because you don't want to be doing this all night. Whereas headphones, you absolutely will be doing this all night. More likely you'll be doing this all night, actually. You'll be hearing on one side and you'll be listening to the house speakers on the other ear. You just don't do that with earbuds. Instead, you'll be manipulating a knob. So, all right, this is what the audience is hearing. This is what I want to hear. This is what the audience is hearing. This is what I want to hear. It's fine. It works. And in some ways, it really, really allows you to control what volume you want to hear at, because the ones that fit inside your ear are very good at sound isolating whatever is happening out there. So if what's being played out through the speakers is unhealthy levels, that's going to cause you tinnitus and make your ears ring. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be doing that because that's hurting your audience. But secondly, you get to control that for yourself. You set the volume at whatever level you want. Something which I will also recommend you get are earplugs. How many of you go to clubs where you feel like this might be too unhealthily loud? Oh wow, the same people. Okay, everyone, yeah. I agree, actually. Underground events, club events, there's very few events that I've gone to where I thought, yeah, my ears could survive a whole night of this. And we'll talk a little bit about sound systems on why that tends to end up being the case. But I always have these earplugs. These are anti-motic earplugs. I might put up a link on Amazon. They're kind of like the cheapest earplugs that I would use on a regular basis. And why I got these and why I keep using them are not because of their sound isolating properties, but because how easy they are to put in your ears. And then I can take them out. So there's no hesitation. I will put them in, and if I really need to talk to somebody, I can pull them out and I can put them right back in again. There's a whole bunch of like cheap, I would say maybe about $6 earplugs, which don't have that property because they're completely made out of flexible silicone. They fit really nicely in your ears, but it's really hard to get them out again. You wouldn't want to be doing this all night. The ones that I have a hard plastic back. It's just something I can grip on and pull it out, and I can put it back in again. If any of you are taking a shop class or have access to a shop, there's probably free earplugs, foam earplugs that you can put in there. Those work in terms of protecting your ears. I don't find them the most comfortable to keep on all night. Your mileage may vary depending on the shape of your ears. In situations where what's going on in the room is so incredibly loud, but I still need to hear it, I will actually DJ with my earplugs in. I will have these guys in here. You notice they don't stick out very far from my actual ears, so I can actually put headphones on top of them. My volume is turned to an equally unhealthy level, but because I have my earplugs in, it sort of mutes it back down to a fairly sensible level. And you know they're doing it right if you go home and your ears are not ringing.